Welcome to the Dental Decoders podcast. I'm your host, Brittany Rogars, and I'm here to help you crack the code on all things dental operations. Each week, we dive into topics to help you overcome roadblocks, streamline operations, and reduce team burnout. Whether you're an owner, a practice manager, or a team member, this podcast is for you. Join us for insightful discussions, engaging interviews, and practical tips. So sit back and relax as we crack the code on all things dental operations together. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Dental Decoders podcast. Before we dig into today's episode, we've got some exciting news to share. This episode is sponsored by Flex Dental, a game changer in dental practice management. For not one, but 3 amazing episodes, we are joined by Jenny Bauer from Flex. And during those episodes, we're going to dig into how Flex Dental seamlessly integrates with open dental software, offers tools designed to enhance communication with your patients, streamlines your team's workflow, boosts your case acceptance, and increases payment collections. If you are listening to this episode and you want to see Flex in action, check out the links in the show notes to learn more or schedule a demo. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. So stay tuned for this chat with Jenny Bauer as we explore Flex Dental and how it can revolutionize your practice. Now let's get into the episode. Hello, Decoders, and welcome to this week's episode of the Dental Decoders podcast. I'm your host, Brittany Rogars, and I am joined by the wonderful Jenny Bauer for part 2 of our 3-part Flex series. Welcome to the show again, Jenny.
Hey, Brittany.
For our guests who maybe didn't get to listen to part 1, first and foremost, go back and listen to that after this one. But why don't you start by telling us a little bit about who you are and a little bit more about Flex as well?
Yeah, so I'm Jenny Bauer. I've been with dental for a long time, started in some different roles in the office, moved over to software, eventually found my way over to Flex, which is really exciting, starting with training and things like that. And now I do customer success management, which is great because I get to work with all the clients and, all the fun stuff. So that's been exciting. I've been with Flex for 3.5 years and it's just been great. So moving into Flex is going to be celebrating 6 years. So we're really excited about that. So, it was started 6 years ago by a doctor and her husband, or a dentist and her husband, who they were a startup practice. They were trying to find softwares that would work in their practices and just wasn't finding things that were meeting their needs. So he has some programming background. So he said, I can do this. So that is where Flex started from and has just evolved and continued to grow, and it's been pretty exciting.
I have been a longtime Flex user and fan. I've also been a longtime Jenny Bauer fan, so I'm really excited to be able to have this conversation. Jenny, when we were lucky enough to demo Flex together for the first time, How long ago was that? I feel like that was probably 6 years ago almost.
That was probably like close to 4 to 5 years ago. Yeah, I'd have to look back to see. And I do remember just sitting there in awe, you see something and we were like, wow, it's going to do what? And I think, I don't want to get sidetracked, but I think one of the biggest things was patient forms was always a hard thing. And the way that the forms were designed to only ask appropriate questions based off of age or gender or how a previous question was answered was one of the biggest things that we were so excited about.
Yeah, I agree. I remember all the time we would get angry 80-year-old men when they had to get asked if they were pregnant before we made the swap. I was like, oh my gosh. So that and the treatment plan, I think, were what sold me particularly, because the treatment plan function on Flex is gorgeous. So I know that's not what we have budgeted to talk about today, but those are 2 of my favorite things when I first started. And now it does even so much more than I can even fully wrap my head around, which is why you're here teaching me.
I know. It's so exciting.
So one of the, I wouldn't call it new, but one of the newer things that Flex is doing now, and that has kind of caught everybody's attention, is Flex verifications. So I want to talk to you a little bit about Flex verifications, what it is, how it works, and just how that can help streamline the process in a dental practice.
Mm-hmm. Right. As we know, the time spent to verify insurance is a lot. With technology, it's gotten better and better with fax specs or going onto portals and things like that, but it still is time consuming. So insurance verification, the flex verification obviously is to help the teams in the offices that don't have time to just spend on the phone or in front of a computer to grab that information. Or as we know, sometimes there's staffing, new staff that doesn't totally understand the idea of the dental insurance side of it. So even if they are going into a portal or asking someone questions on the phone, they might not even be giving the right information. So our insurance verification has a couple different pieces involved with it that you can do an on-demand verify. So if someone walks into the office today and says, "Hey, Brittany, here's my new insurance card," you don't have to go into a panic of like getting that verified, in those 2 minutes before they get taken to the back. You just enter in the information into Open Dental, and then Flex has a button where you click verify. And then from there, we produce a PDF that goes into your Open Dental imaging. The team still does have to input that information in the benefits screen. Then they're making sure they're doing it correctly and things like that. We do have plans we hope to bring to the system. They'll auto inject. So we're hoping to do that in the near future. And then we will stamp the dates last verified in the Open Dental. And the other thing that we do is on the Flex side, there's a little badge that shows when a patient is due for insurance verification. So the visual side of it's really easy. And then Open Dental natively has a way of displaying on the schedule when a patient's due for verification. So we kind of piggybacked off of that setting so that you'd be able to see from either system if insurance verification is due. Now, I talked about the on-demand side of it, but hey, who wants to have to click for every patient? So there's an automated schedule that would run so many days out for patients that are coming in that haven't been verified in a period of time. The office gets to set those settings. So whether it's going to be, 1 month or 6 months, they can do that. And the insurance verification should be there and ready, the 7 days ahead. So
that's awesome. So you can tell Flex how often you want verifications done as well. So if I want my patient's eligibility checked every visit, is Flex able to handle that type of customization, or does it just match Open Dental's customization?
Nope, you have that option to set so many days out or so many months since their last verified date. So yeah.
Perfect. I love that. And then how far in advance it scans your schedule to do those auto verifications? That's customizable too. So I could say, I want you to scan tomorrow's schedule and just always be a day ahead, or I could set it further and always have it be 5-7 days ahead.
And I find that most offices tend to do more like that 5 to 7, because especially the weekends, you want to be prepared for your Monday or Tuesday, or if you're off on Fridays and things like that. So you probably setting something like the 5 to 7 days would make more sense, because then you have the time to enter in those benefits. Or what if a plan comes back invalid or terminated or something like that? It gives you that opportunity to reach out to your patient ahead of time.
What does that flag look like if maybe a plan has term? Does it tell you that in some way, shape, or form?
It does. On the patient's landing page of Flex, there would be a little message that would display, along with the PDF that goes into the system would say status. Instead of active, it would say inactive. And then the visual part of the main page of Flex, where we display a badge when there is a patient is due for verification, we change that color to like an orange, just almost like a little bit of a warning color, like, hey, this patient needs some attention.
And then you would also see it in Open Dental as well, because it wouldn't take that V off the schedule. Cool.
You're correct. Yeah.
So there's so many different ways that you can get the piece of information. It's going to be very difficult to miss, which is great. Right. Anything we can simplify and make easier is better.
And that's the thing, you're so busy. We know you were so busy in the office. You don't want to always have to dive or dig into one spot. So I love that it's kind of mirrored there and you're able to see it. And I wanted to mention we have an enhanced insurance verification that should be released soon. So stay tuned for that.
I am so excited for that. When I first did my first demo with Flex Verification, you showed me around and I was like blown away at how much more information it got than some of the other platforms that I had used for that like auto verification piece before. Some of the carriers that I couldn't get information from other places, you guys were able to pull from, which was awesome. So I just can't wait for the enhanced version to see what else you guys whip up.
Yeah, awesome. We'll definitely keep everyone posted on that.
Absolutely. And if you are not already in the email list to get updates from us here at SKF Practice Solutions, get in that too, because I'm constantly sending out updates as I hear more from Flex too, because anybody who's using Open Dental, in my opinion, should also be using Flex. It's such a powerful tool. Speaking of powerful tools, Flex Web Schedule. I want to talk more about the scheduling piece because verification automation, awesome. And that's going to save so much manpower as well. But we have so many patients who millennials don't like to make phone calls, but we still need to see a dentist. I would automatically pick whatever dentist I find that has web schedule over one that doesn't. So tell me more about Flex Web Schedule and how that can help practices optimize and battle some of that staffing crisis as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. They statistically say that 60 to 80% of appointments or patients prefer to book online. I've seen so many variables on that, so that's why I say the 60 to 80, but it's still a lot of big numbers there. So, when you can have that available for the patients that are looking for that, great. And then same thing, I know we keep coming back to the staffing thing, but it's a true thing. And if you don't have to spend that time on the phone setting up an appointment, or that, you're too busy and you miss that opportunity because you missed that phone call, it's a great way to direct patients to your website to schedule online. So the online scheduling itself has many pieces to it. It's designed completely around how a practice does schedule, like what their schedule looks like for their operatories and their providers and what appointment types they want to offer. Fully customizable. Many practices will do like new patient visits, consults, emergencies, and of course recare, so that those patients can come back. And then what's really nice about it is when we talk about like how do the patients find the links, there's customizable links that an office can put on their Google page, their website, their Facebook page, even their recall messages, where they can track how many patients scheduled from each of those links. So it's kind of nice on that part to see, where patients are actually finding you. But what I really like about the tracking links is you can set up a specific one, call it Invisalign. Maybe they're doing an Invisalign campaign or something, and you can set up a specific tracking link for that. Put it as a QR code, maybe on a poster or a mailer or in a Flex email blast, and really track that return on the investment, especially if it is something that an email blast, that's kind of internal. But if you are doing some outside marketing, it's really nice to see how many patients did schedule from those links. So that's one of my favorite parts of it. Kind of going back to the idea of like the missed opportunities, if you miss that one phone call, if a patient's not stuck on coming to this office, what are they going to do? They're going to look for the next dental office in line and see if they have online scheduling or give them a call. So if they use an integrated phone system that Flex integrates with, or even some other systems that may have this, if you do a mixed text message from a missed phone call, you can include your scheduling link right there too, which we've seen a lot of success with because, oftentimes people are calling for an appointment. So it gives them that opportunity to do that right there.
I didn't know you guys did the missed call texts. I got one from an office that I learned that you did the other day because I called a client who I know uses Flex, and I got the text right away and I was like, oh, look at that. That's so cool. So I got their voicemail. I left a message, but I immediately got a text saying, hey, we're so sorry we missed you. Here's some more information about us. So that was super cool. I don't want to veer off too much, but I love that you guys offer that. I think that's such a great tool to just keep their attention, and having the web schedule link in there is genius.
Yep, a perfect idea.
So one of the things, if I remember correctly, so correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't used Flex Schedule since we tested it out when it first went live, but you can have custom questions in there and make sure that the patients are getting the information that you need to, so they can tell you like what their insurance is and those types of things. So you can ask special questions for patients who are going to book online.
Absolutely. So during the booking process, once the patient found their date and time, we're going to ask for some pertinent information like the name, email, date of birth, and phone number. And then from there, there's any custom questions an office might want to ask, like maybe tell us a little bit more about your reason for the dental visit. Are you having any dental concerns? When was the last time you were at a dentist? Like there is any of those questions that they can put on there. I always try to recommend limiting those questions because we don't want to put up any barriers for the patients or have them be like, oh, this is a little long, I'm just going to stop, and not complete it. But the information that is important, ask. And then the next question at the bottom, we'll ask about insurance, and we'll prompt the patient to put in their insurance information, the basic information. And if an office does need more specific info on the insurance, they can put any more custom questions in. We just ask like the carrier and the subscriber. But what they can do as well is keep in mind that a new patient, if they booked, our system will automatically, if the settings are set up, send out their new patient paperwork like within 5 minutes. So it's helped a lot having that go out so immediate, because you don't have to put so many customized questions in there of asking for some of that information that would still be asked on your new patient form.
I didn't even think about the new patient forms piece of that. That's really smart too. So you can have them book with minimal information. It's funny because when I teach offices, I teach them to just get minimal information on a new patient phone call, because the flex forms will get the rest later. But then when I was thinking, when I was thinking web scheduling, for some reason, I was thinking like, oh, we have to do it everything all at once. That's actually a lot easier than what I was trying to do. So I love that.
One of the questions that I'll oftentimes have offices put in there, because they're worried about not getting enough information. And they're like, well, but what if I need to verify the insurance and I needed this and all that? Sometimes just putting in a question like, you're going to receive your new patient forms shortly after you make your appointment. Please fill that out ASAP. And we put like a little like radio button that says, I agree or I acknowledge. And, it doesn't mean that they're going to receive them and fill them out for the office in a timely manner. But sometimes if I were to actually like click a box and then receive those forms, I might be like, ooh, I said I was going to fill those out. So hopefully, just putting a little message in there like that will, remind patients how important that is, that you do need that filled out right away.
Absolutely. You guys have not just one more, but you've got one more tool that I want to talk about today. And I want to make sure I'm respectful of your time. So I want to try and segue a little bit to talk about the FlexPay option. So I mentioned earlier that the treatment plan was one of my favorite pieces, and being able to set up payment plans in Open Dental and get everything integrated was the game changer for me when I decided to start using Flex. FlexPay has grown since even that point in time. So it's got so many things that I use. I love the billing. I love all the things. I'll stop rambling about it. If you would love to tell us a little bit more about the FlexPay option and all the tools that affords offices.
Yeah, there's so many pieces involved with the FlexPay, and I'll go right to the treatment plans, because that was like your favorite part of it. Talking about financials or money with patients can be a difficult conversation. We've understood that. We've all been through that where, it's a little bit hard to present it, whether it's a $200 plan or $2,000. It's like, how are they going to pay for it? So what's nice about the treatment plans through Flex, you had said it's beautiful. Like, it's just laid out in such a visually easy way for patients to read. But then if an office wants to offer financial options, Flex has a way of displaying on the screen a discount option, up to 2 payment plan options, and up to 2 like financing options. And what I found as far as like treatment acceptance, if you're verbally going through that with a patient, trying to describe to them their different options and what their monthly fees would be if they went, route A or route B, it's overwhelming. That's a lot to take in. So when you can clearly display that on a tablet or on the computer screen, like, hey, here's your cost, here's your 3 options, it is so easy for a patient to make a sound financial decision, because they're seeing that information right in front of them. So I'm sure, same experience you have and you've seen with your offices, that treatment acceptance really, it helps that treatment acceptance rate a lot for that. And then taking it a step further, if they do set up like an in-office payment arrangements for recurring payments, that payment plan is created in Open Dental. You can go right into our recurring payment screen, get the card on file, and those auto payments will automatically process and post back into Open Dental. So that's really cool. The other basic pieces of it, well, not so basic, but in-office payments, you do them right through Flex. Flex is also going to help with I always think it's a bad word, allocation.
My favorite word.
Allocation, as we know, we've struggled with that, right, Brittany? And it's definitely a hard thing in Open Dental, but when you're making your payments in Flex or within Flex, you're using the merchant. We work with 3 merchants and or integrate with 3 of them. And we prompt the user, the staff, to allocate that payment. Like, okay, you're collecting a $200 payment. where is that payment getting allocated to, and we list the services that are unpaid in Open Dental. So it really helps alleviate some of those issues with the allocating for that. We've got billing. You can send out statements individually, and maybe after an insurance claim was paid, you can send that out immediately to the patient, or you can do batch billing, which would be a group of patients that fall into certain categories. And we also just recently released our auto billing, which means you set it and forget it. You set your rules, and let's say every Thursday you want to send out your statements at 8 a.m. For patients that haven't received a bill in 30 days, Flex will automatically do that for you.
I just set up auto bill with my first client two weeks ago now. So very excited about that. It's just going to make everything so much smoother for them. So I can't wait to see that. I did want to jump back to the treatment planning section for just a moment, because we talked about how you can display all of these financial options, but you may not always want to have those financial options there right away, especially if we're doing like $100 filling. We don't particularly want to set up a payment plan for that particular piece, but Flex has the ability to filter and automate when and if those show up. And also you can just toggle them on and off really easily as well, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really good point, because you're not going to necessarily want to offer it for all situations. And you can set rules to kind of help guide your team of what those rules would be for your office of when they should be accepted or being offered to the patient. So things like, if they have insurance, could they receive a discount? And maybe not, because if we're part of a PPO plan, we're already taking a pretty deep hit. So we might not want to offer that. Also, if they have a membership plan, you can toggle those, discounts to be on or off if they do that. You could even do it for related to like ortho only. Sometimes those smaller fillings, we're not going to offer a discount, but if it's a big ortho case, we might offer that type of option for them. And then different things of like what their down payment would look like if it's a payment plan, your minimum months or, default months, but always have the option to, change it. Maybe you're going to offer 6 months, but, this is a larger case, so you want to go to 12. You can easily switch that over.
It's so simple to do. It's like a handful of button clicks on your tablet. You can do it right there while you're talking to the patient. I fangirl over the treatment plan because it's really what sold me on it. So I'm excited about that part.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to say about FlexPay, because we were talking about Flex Schedule, if you use the two of them with Flex, we added last year an option for offices to require a credit card on file through the online scheduling process if you wanted to, or even require a reservation fee or a $25 just to book the appointment. So that had been a highly requested feature. So we have, gone ahead and done that. So the two work in tandem together.
So many offices that I work with are implementing deposits and payment up front and all those things. Even just having a card on file, I think, would help with some of the cancellation issues that we've been facing forever. But yeah, having that feature available through the software and having all three of these pieces that work together so nicely, I think is really what offices are looking for now. You don't want to have 9 platforms to do things when you can have one platform that does 9 things really, really well.
Mm-hmm. And with the treatment plans, I kind of went into the recurring payment, but if we did offer a discount and you were collecting that up front today, after the patient signs the treatment plan, it's automatically going to prompt the user to collect that payment, and that payment will be posted to Open Dental, and it's allocated and linked to those treatment plan procedures. So when they get converted into a service, you don't have to go back and allocate it. I know that was a struggle in our office, that we would collect prepayments and the patient came and left and we never reallocated that payment. So
last question I had for you was not one that I had mentioned because it just popped into my head. So I'm going off script a little bit here, but Open Dental just updated their payment plans now, and they're set up differently than the way that everybody hated for years. Has Flex had any issues with setting up payment plans in the new method, or are you guys functioning on that route now too?
Yeah, so when that change first came through, the payment plans that were created as part of a signed treatment plan were working appropriately. If they were creating them manually, Flex at first wasn't recognizing it, but we have done all the development that we need to, and everything is working as normal. So everything's good on that.
Awesome. So we'll get accurate payment plans. We'll get recurring payments. Patients can book those appointments online. They can pay for everything up front. So really, Flex is just, it's almost like having another team member in the office who can handle all those things, but you don't have to pay it a salary or benefits. So it sounds great. All right, Jenny. This has been a fantastic episode. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to talk about all these awesome features. And we'll put the links in the show notes for everybody to find out more about Flex and how they can work with you guys and how they can really optimize their practice.
All right. Sounds great. Thanks, Brittany.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us for this week's episode of Dental Decoders podcast. We hope you took away a valuable piece of information. As always, don't forget to rate, share, and subscribe to help us build our community of dental decoders. We look forward to seeing you for next week's episode.